Welcome to Through the Ruth, where we explore life inside the walls we call home and the lives we build within them. I'm Ruth, property professional, storyteller and lover of all things home. Each week, we'll open the door to real stories behind the scenes of the property industry, design, inspiration and practical tips for shifting house, creating calm spaces and keeping your home safe, secure and beautifully comfortable. Because whether you own, rent or simply dream, everyone deserves to feel at home. So make yourself at home. You're listening to Through the Ruth. Hi, today we're talking about something really important. Not conflict, not breakdown, not tribunal drama, but it's about stability. Because while loud tenancy disputes get attention, the quiet majority of rental relationships function, and they can function really well. According to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, many Australian renters stay in the same property for multiple years, particularly in private rental markets where stability exists. Longer tenancies are strongly associated with improved well-being outcomes. That tells us something powerful. People don't just want housing, they want continuity and security. And continuity doesn't happen by accident, it's designed. So today we're unpacking how to intentionally create what I call a 5-star tenancy. It's one that rarely falls apart. So why does stability matter? Research consistently shows that housing insecurity impacts mental well-being, let alone financial. National Wellbeing Reporting from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, yes, I do quote quite a few stats because they're important, has identified financial stress and housing affordability as significant contributors to anxiety in Australian households, and most of us know exactly how that feels personally. When housing feels unstable, stress increases, sleep decreases, and conflict tolerance drops, which means a stable tenancy doesn't just protect income, it protects nervous systems on both sides, and that does matter. If you're a landlord who has a long-term tenant, you must be doing something right, or you have a good property manager who can manage the relationships for you both with empathy and respect. What makes a 5-star tenancy? Well, it comes down to 5 behavioural pillars. It's not personality alone, although that is a really important factor too. It's not luck, but it is behaviour, and how a tenant acts is what takes them beyond being just a tenant and transforms them into something amazing. So, first point is long-term thinking. According to national housing data from the Australian Housing and Urban Research Institute, frequent moves are associated with increased financial strain and reduced community connection, of course. Every single move costs. You've got removalists, the bond transfers, coming up with a new bond before you can even get the old bond back. You've got cleaning, that's not just cleaning of the place you're leaving, but cleaning to the standard that you expect for the new house going in, and even of the items that you've packed up and unpacked need cleaning, etc. as well. You've got time off work, there's the emotional energy, but gosh, there's the physical exhaustion too. Moving is hard work. For landlords, the turnover costs can include the vacancy, meaning no rental income for a period of a break between. You've got advertising, you've got letting fees of paying the agent to get the new tenants set up, and you've got the risk of new unknown variables such as needing to change the locks, as an example. You've got increased wear and tear on the property, having tenants moving, and you're also learning a new relationship with the new tenants. Loyalty and trust takes time. So changing tenants is stressful for everybody. Stability reduces turnover. Reduced turnover protects profit. And 5-star tenancies go beyond this year. They generally respond to longer term. So the second point is respectful inspections. And yes, that really does matter. It's a big point for me in particular. Inspections can feel invasive, but they are necessary, and it's usually due to insurance covers as one of the aspects as to why we need to do them. But they don't need to feel negative. When inspections are approached as, let's maintain this asset together rather than let's try to find a fault, the tone changes completely. In private rental satisfaction surveys referenced in housing research, tenants consistently report that respectful communication during inspections significantly improves overall rental satisfaction. It can have them looking forward to the inspection rather than dreading it. And tone impacts retention. Retention protects stability. A good property manager will show respect first in order to have that expectation returned. They will ensure that they're not invasive in the time that they attend. However, they do have a checklist of what they need to check whilst they're there, and it can't always be done in a matter of only minutes. It is often the only time we get to speak to a tenant, so it can also be a lovely opportunity to see how they're going in the home, how they are with the neighbours, and even learning about the street or what's going on so you can let the owners know. And in many circumstances, especially with mum and dad investors, they once lived in the property and they might know some of that community. So the community matters, and taking time to know how the tenants are enjoying theirs is so often overlooked. The third point is early maintenance reporting saves money. Data from Insurance Industry Insights in Australia consistently show that delayed maintenance increases claim severity. Such a obvious sentence, but not everybody understands it. So let's say that again. Data from insurance companies, the insights consistently show that delayed maintenance increases the claim severity. A small leak ignored becomes a bigger leak, then mould, then potentially even structural repair. 5-star tenants report early, and 5-star landlords respond proportionately. Preventative care is cheaper than repairing once something goes wrong, always. A good landlord will realise reporting maintenance isn't about the tenant wanting to have a home that is replaced and become brand new. It's giving the owner instead the opportunity to ensure the value of this major asset remains there, that the home functions safely and well, no different to if it was the owner-occupier living in their own home. And it reduces the cost of repairing the damage caused when an issue is ignored or left too long. All homes need maintaining. It doesn't matter who is living in there, whether, again, owner-occupier or a tenant in there. It's no different. All homes need maintaining. And so it's important to have those items reported. And then, of course, it's just as equally important for a tenant to realise that there is a priority as to what is most important to get done now, what's something that might go on a maintenance list to be done in the short-term future, or something that might be a longer-term future. There are priorities in how the money is going to be spent as well. Number 4 is the fair rental reviews. Rental markets fluctuate, but here's the key. Tenants don't just react to numbers, they react to surprise. So when rent adjustments are well explained, properly advised per legislation requirements such as the notice term given, and they align with the market evidence and not escalated above that, they're far less likely to trigger hostility. Market transparency builds credibility, and credibility builds trust. The market has increased rapidly in the last 5 odd years. We all know that. This is not just for the tenants, but for the owners to hold on to the property too. And it's important to have mum and dad investors, for example, in the real estate market. If we had only large corporations buying the investments, they would have the monopoly on rent returns, let alone where that money is going. For example, is it staying in Australia, or is it even staying in the local community? So unfortunately, community housing do not supply enough housing for the need that we have, especially in Australia, probably worldwide. They never really have. So we need landlords, and legislation is in place to ensure fairness. Number 5 is the professional boundaries. This one is underrated. 5-star tenancies maintain boundaries. Communication stays. It stays in writing, as is required under the Act. It stays respectful, and it stays timely. No emotional late-night texts, no passive-aggressive commentary, no social media rants. Boundaries create safety and respect, and both sustain the relationship. So why this works is national tribunal systems, including SACAT here in South Australia, report that rent arrears and termination applications remain amongst the most common residential matters that go to tribunal. But here's what's important. Applications represent a small fraction of total rental agreements nationally, meaning that the majority of rental relationships operate without reaching a formal dispute. 5-star behaviour is not actually that rare, it's just quiet, and quiet stability doesn't make the headlines. How many times have we seen in 60 Minutes or Today Tonight or any of those current affair shows where a tenancy has gone bad, like really bad? And it can be from either side. So it's important to have those boundaries. It's important to have the respect, and it's important for there not to be big gaps in time of responding as well. Nobody wants to feel ghosted. It's really important to have that communication there. And that's what your property manager is there to do, to make sure that they're following it up for you. So what 5-star sounds like? Here's just an example on the side of a tenant. We're hoping to renew if possible. Could you let us know your plans early? And then the landlord via the agent might respond, we value the way you've cared for the property and we're happy to discuss renewal options. Do you notice what's missing there? There's defensiveness, assumption, and threat. All gone just because there's clarity. If your tenancy isn't 5-star yet, upgrade one behaviour, just one. Respond faster. Explain decisions in more detail. Explain them better. Remove your emotional tone. It is what it is, but it's important to realise there are people on the other end on both sides. Report earlier. Give more notice. Remember, legislation limits the minimum notices, but there's nothing wrong with giving additional time in notices where it's required or where it could assist the other party too. Small behavioural shifts create compound stability, and compound stability protects income, reputation, and everybody's mental well-being. So if you've ever tidied frantically 10 minutes before you've got your routine inspection, or you've stared at a rent ledger like it's some type of suspense novel, consider replying per my previous email in bold. If you've ever tried any of those, you are absolutely normal, but 5-star tenancies don't purely rely on sarcasm restraint. They rely on maturity. Though we all draft that spicy email in our head first, growth is choosing not to send it and maintaining that positive relationship and working at it. In my experience, the calmest tenancies are not the ones without issues at all. They are the ones with clear expectations, measured responses, long-term thinking, and mutual dignity. 5-star tenancies are not about being overly nice or trying to sugarcoat everything. They're about being consistently professional, respectful, and expecting respect to go in all directions. So just closing off, in housing environments where financial and emotional pressures are real, stability can be a luxury. And luxury isn't marble benchtops, it's predictability, it's respect, it's clear communication. The heart of home isn't just the property itself, it's the behaviour surrounding it. And 5-star tenancies, they're built intentionally. Until next time, I thank you especially for joining me today. I hope you will join me for the next one. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow Through the Ruth wherever you get your podcasts. And if you've got a story about your home and your experiences, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out, ruth@thepmboutique.com.au. So until next time, take a deep breath, look around and remember, home is what you make it.